I hope that you are fine, good, well, happy, healthy, joyful, and at least I hope that your soul is well. Okay, so from the book Art and Fear by David Bayles, I'm gonna continue reading, and this is a different section, and it is headed A View into the Outside World. To see far is one thing, going there is another. That is a quote by Brancusi. I'm not sure who that is. If you know, let me know. Okay. To the artists, all problems of art appear uniquely personal. Well, that's understandable enough, given that not many other activities routinely call one's basic self-worth into question. But those really personal problems all relate to the making of art. Once the art has been made, an entirely new set of problems arise, problems that require the artist to engage the outside world. Call them ordinary problems. Ordinary problems. Ordinary problems are not, however, trivial problems. Among other things, they consume the larger part of almost every artist's time. One well-known painter, after several months of careful record-keeping, reached the discouraging conclusion that even at best he could free up only 6 or 7 days a month for actually painting. What? Wow. While the remaining 20-odd days inevitably went to gallery businesses, studio cleanups, UPS runs, and the like. Moral: there's one hell of a lot more to art than just making it. In many cases, the art that you make today will reach its audience tomorrow only because of a vast societal network geared to arts education, funding, criticism, publication, exhibition, and performance. In many other cases, unfortunately, your art will only reach the world in spite of this network. Many attempts to introduce art to the larger world simply give evidence of the uneasy fit in our society. Between economics and beliefs. In many quarters, art is viewed as dangerous, unnecessary, elitist, expensive, and dependent on the patronage of effete East Coast liberals for its survival. Artists themselves fare little better, while being widely portrayed as subversive weirdos who not only enjoy living in sin, but are probably doing it off your tax dollars as well. There's a little box, and inside it says, having said that, the authors would like to employ this sentence to proclaim a self-imposed moratorium of cynicism in their future discussions, regardless of how much the bastards deserve it. Thank you, the management. I'm not really liking this chapter. I think I want to skip ahead. Seems this book wants to venture into political type of vibes. I don't know, I'm just hearing words that make me nervous. In any case, there's nothing obscure about either the cause or the effect of these attitudes. Some art, by its very nature, is subversive. By leading the viewer to experience the world through the very different sensibilities of the artist, a good work of art inevitably calls the viewer's own belief system into question. Is this threatening? The more effective the art, the more likely the viewer's first reaction will be anger and denial, followed immediately by a search for someone to blame. And in that department, the artist is always the most likely candidate. We have, after all, a time-honored tradition of killing the messenger who delivers the bad news. Sure, that's harsh. One of the more celebrated examples of mowing down the messenger and everyone else in sight involved is Robert Mapplethorpe, a photographer who made a set of images overtly romanticizing. I'm going to bleep some words. As it turns out, threats didn't mean a lot to Maplethorpe, who was already, yes, that's a word, already terminally ill, even as he readied his body of work for exhibit. Instead, pressure points were found in the supporting arts network, especially the National Endowment for the Arts. Subtlety was not in great abundance here. The NEA was simply threatened with a cut-off of funding if it lent support to artists or museums that made or exhibited work that offended community standards. There were counter-protests, of course, and in the end, Maplethorpe's work was exhibited, but the message to the arts community was clear. Stray too far from the innocuous, and the axe would fall. Call it selective censorship. That's a hot topic. Isn't it? Has it blown over? Is it cold now? That's fine. Call it selective censorship. Freedom of expression was guaranteed unless it was expressed in a work of art. Sure. The most amazing aspect of this American morality play was not that the government would place self-interest above principle when it felt threatened, but that no one foresaw this coming of miles down the road. A reminder from history. The American Revolution was not financed with matching grants from the Crown. Common ground. It goes without saying that censorship is debilitating to the artist. It's a little less obvious, at least to artists, that censorship is an entirely natural state of affairs. Nature places a simple constraint on those who leave the flock to go their own way. They get eaten. In society, it's a bit more complicated. Nonetheless, the admonition stands. Avoiding the unknown has considerable survival value. Society, nature, and art making tend to produce guarded creatures. The dilemma here is that for the artist, contact with the subject and materials must always remain unguarded. In making art, you court the unknown, and with it, the paranoia of those who fear what change might bring. But while fear of attracting the wrath of some Southern senator may cast a shadow on your freedom of expression, often the more vexing problem is catching anyone's attention in the first place. After all, most people see no reason to question their own beliefs, much less solicit yours. And why should they? Artistically and otherwise, the world we become into has already been observed and defined by others, thoroughly, redundantly, comprehensively, and usually quite appropriately. The human race has spent several millennia developing a huge, robust set of observations about the world in forms varied as language, art, and religion. Those observations in turn have withstood enormously many tests. We stand heir to an unstatably large set of meanings. Most of what we inherit is so clearly correct it goes unseen. It fits the world seamlessly. It is the world. But despite its richness and variability, the well-defined world we inherit doesn't quite fit each one of us individually. Most of us spend most of our time in other people's worlds. Working at predetermined jobs, relaxing to prepackaged entertainment, and no matter how benign this ready-made world may be, there will always be times where something is missing or doesn't ring true. And so you make your place in the world by making part of it, by contributing some new part to the set. And surely one of the more astonishing rewards of art making comes when people make time to visit the world you have created. That is for someone. I think you know who you are. Some indeed may even purchase a piece of your world to carry back and adopt as their own. Each new piece of your art enlarges our reality. The world is not yet done. So I'm going to end it off there because the next section is the heading of art issues, and so I would like to end it off on that hopeful note. And yeah, I don't want to make this one too long, and I wonder how far I am in the book. Okay, we're halfway through the book. I need to finish the book soon. But it's interesting. Okay. Hope you go well and do well and be well, and when in doubt, pray. Try it. Speak to God. Seek Him. He loves you. There's love all around you. Tap into it. Ciao.